Hello, and welcome back to another episode of I'm Free Now What with me, Michelleflcsw, a licensed clinical social worker in the state of Florida. Today I'm going to be talking about one of the cognitive distortions that occur with people that have criminal thinking patterns. And the criminal thinking pattern distortion that I'm going to be talking about is when some individuals, they have what we call magical thinking. What is magical thinking? Well, let me tell you. Magical thinking is when I would sit down and I would say to somebody that was going home, how are you going to be successful? And I had one that was like, I'm going to open up a food truck. And I said, that's a wonderful idea. Now, let's talk about what you need to open up a food truck. Well, I don't know. Well, shouldn't you know that in order to open up a food truck? Well, I'll go and I'll learn it as I need to learn it. Okay, well, that doesn't really work in life. You kind of need to have plans on how you're going to achieve a goal. Well, I'm going to achieve it. Okay, how are you going to achieve it? Don't worry about it. I'm going to achieve it. So that right there is a big indication that that person is not going to do well post EOS. They're not going to do well in life. That right there is a big problem when we're trying to address criminal thinking and criminal behaviors and keeping people out of the prison system. And the reason for this is people that have this sort of magical thinking, it generally goes along with a sense of entitlement, that they can take what they want, that people, they deserve to be given things from people, that they don't have to work for things. People with this magical thinking, they also tend to not be able to follow through on things that are difficult. They don't really believe in hard work, that if something is difficult to do, then they don't need to be doing it. They have a low frustration tolerance. If something doesn't come easy, they become extremely frustrated, and then they go ahead and they either abandon the project or they, destroy the project because it's too hard. And then they run away from the project. They don't do the things that are necessary to achieve their goals. And what we can see is like one of the things that a lot of people that have been in prison, they're very good fighters. They can be very aggressive and they like to fight. And so people are like, oh, people that are like that, they should go into UFC fighting or boxing or something like that. Fighting, boxing require commitment. They require determination. They require that at certain times you're going to lose. If you're always winning the fight, that means that you're not going and moving forward, that you're only picking opponents that you can win against, which means that you're not growing as a fighter. You go and you fail, and that's how you know where you need to work. You don't stop at where you're successful, you continue to grow. And that means when we're growing that we're failing. And people that have a criminal mentality, they don't want to fail. It injures them way too much to fail, and so they reject before they can be rejected. They push away before they have the ability to fail, which means that they never really are successful in life. And these are people that engage in criminal behaviors, that they go and they give up before they even have a chance of failure. And so what, as providers, can we do with people that are like this? Well, if we have somebody that has magical thinking, challenge the magical thinking. Really push them and address, dude, you know what? You thinking that you're going to open up a food cart? Great idea. Let's talk about putting a plan together on how to achieve the food cart. If they are reluctant to put a plan together, it has been my experience that the best thing to do, call them out on it. You're doing them no favors by allowing them to continue to think that magical thinking is going to get them to achieve their goal. Then they can go and they can take ownership for when the magical thinking doesn't pan out the way that they thought it would. And this allows them to understand that they themselves are responsible for the failure of their plan. That it's not fate or any of this other stuff. It's a lack of preparation. It's a lack of follow through. It is a lack of commitment to that goal. And this right here is something that in order for people that are coming out of the prison system that have exhibited this magical thinking, if we want them to be successful, they have to come to terms that life is something that needs to be able to have goals and be able to push through difficult times. A lot of times, a lot of people that have been incarcerated, they become frustrated when things are not easy. And when things are not easy, they go back to criminal behaviors that they know that they're successful at. So if we want them to not go back to criminal behaviors, we need to prepare them to have healthier ways of thinking about how to interact with the world and to let go of the magical thinking patterns that they have. So this is a short little video to address one of the common criminal thinking patterns and to help the people that have that thinking pattern and they don't want to go back to prison about what that thinking pattern is so they can start identifying in themselves. And then once we're able to identify things, then we're able to change them. If we do not acknowledge the shortcoming in ourselves, then we have no idea about how to change that shortcoming. There are individuals out here that they themselves have been involved in the prison system and they themselves have been able to identify and work on their criminal thinking patterns. And you'll see them be a lot of times mentors in programs. So if you yourself are struggling with your criminal thinking patterns, I highly recommend that you find people that they themselves have had and have been able to identify their criminal thinking patterns and have been able to change them. So I hope that this video has been helpful. I hope that people that are dealing with people that have criminal thinking patterns have been able to figure out that this might apply to their person and about how to help them change that pattern. And if you are somebody that has this pattern, I hope that you're able to identify it and start making the necessary changes to work through this distorted thinking pattern so that way you can remain free. If you like this video, found it helpful, please go ahead and share it to people that you think might benefit from it. If you have any comments, leave them in the section below. Anything personal that you don't want to leave, hit me up on Instagram. I try to answer everybody's questions as they come up. And once again, I wish everybody continued freedom and very good mental health. Take care.